Hey guys, all right, so let's get right into it. As you already know how we do here on this channel, we're just gonna get into story time. And today's story, today we're gonna be talking about that time I moved to Seattle. Yeah, that's right. So I know a lot of you guys, want to know more about, my whole journey, out to Mexico. And some of you guys already know that. And it took a while for me to get here. Before I got here, I actually, started out by leaving Miami. Here, let's go to the map real quick for anyone out there that's watching. Because, by the way, if you're listening to me on Spotify, I got the same deal that Joe Rogan had. So basically, you get to also see the video on Spotify if you choose to do so. So if if you're watching or listening, either way, we're gonna talk about my move from Miami to Seattle. So let's just get right into the whole story. So I was born and raised in Miami. All right, I was born and raised in South Florida. Both my parents were Cuban. They left. They escaped. This is more of a better description of what happened. But they escaped communist Cuba, and that's his own story. That we'll probably tell about. We'll talk about it at another point in time here. But my parents, they left Cuba, they escaped Cuba, and they landed in Miami. And if anyone out there has ever seen Scarface, yeah, that's what I grew up in. I grew up in Miami in the 80s. Okay? Okay, sorry, I had the delivery outside. The Christian got it. Okay. So I grew up in Miami in the 80s. Again, I was born in 1981, so, I was there throughout the whole 80s. And, my teenage years were in the 90s. Okay, and so I spent the 80s in Miami, the 90s in Miami, and the first part of the 2000s in Miami. So my first 30 some years were all in Miami. In fact, I never even left Florida up until much later on in my life. And eventually what I did is that I would travel on vacation with various girlfriends or whatever, to places on the West Coast. I'm sorry, on the East Coast. Okay. So, I've been to places, Georgia, the Carolinas. I went to Texas, we went to Austin, back before Austin was a thing, back when Austin was still weird. I've been to Washington D.C. I got all kinds of pictures because that's all we had back then, right? I've been to D.C., Virginia, everything. I've been up and down the West Coast. Now, I never made it all the way up to, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York. I never made it there, okay, unfortunately. But, I was basically, all over, the East Coast in one shape, form, or another. And one of my long trips that I took with, a girlfriend at one point was that we went to Seattle. And the reason we went to Seattle is, well, because, here, I don't know if the shirt, kind of gives it away. But again, I grew up in the 90s, and I grew up in Miami, in the hood, okay? And so basically everything was all about, Spanish music or rap music, R&B, hip-hop, all that stuff, okay? Basically, again, the dirty South. When people talk about the dirty South, I'm always envisioning really Miami. I mean, you can't get any more South, and you can't get any more dirty than down in Miami. So, and I know people, like to mention that that's like in Atlanta or what have you, but regardless, so that's not the point. The point I'm making is that me, being the contrarian, me being anti-authority, me being, the way that I was raised, we'll leave that for another show. I did not partake in a lot of the stuff that was going on, cultural wise, in Miami. So I went on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to rock and roll music. And, I started listening to things like, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, The Doors, whatever, just classic rock. And eventually, obviously, again, growing up as a teenager in the 90s, it was the era, the heyday of grunge, of, rock. Basically, rock died after the 90s. After the 90s is all dead. So, I listened to everything from Nirvana, which was one of my favorite bands, the Smashing Pumpkins, Marilyn Manson, you name it, plus all the classic rock. So I grew up in that world, okay? And so obviously, Seattle, was the hub of grunge and rock music and all this stuff. So, even before went to visit Seattle, back when I was just a teenager, I always wanted to go check it out. I always wanted to see what Seattle was like. I wanted to see, Kurt Cobain's stomping grounds or whatever. All the other, music artists that I loved that came from that era, from that area. And so, for me, I was always had like this affinity or like this whole thing about Seattle. Hey, I wanted to go visit and check it out and all this other stuff. So later on, again, my early 30s, we finally made it out there, on vacation. We took a vacation and we went out to Seattle. And I remember from the minute that I landed, it was just like it wasn't another planet compared to Florida, compared to South Florida, compared to Miami. Are you kidding me? Seattle couldn't be any more different. First of all, there was seasons, meaning that, they had, an actual, winter, fall, summer, spring, as opposed to Florida, which was just summer all year long. So I got to see all kinds of colors, all these, tulips and flowers. We got to see mountains. Obviously we went to, to see the Space Needle, see all the touristy stuff, just see all these things and be in this environment that was just so foreign to me. And it was just awesome to me. So, eventually, obviously vacation was over, came back to Miami, and, eventually I broke up with that girlfriend, things happened. And, actually I didn't break up with her just yet, but long story short, we were kind of falling on hard times there with that relationship. And, not just falling on hard times with the relationship, but falling on hard times, period, in the story, because I don't know if you guys remember, back in 2008, around that time, the USA had a giant economic crisis. And, 2008, 2009, and so on and so forth, it wasn't pretty. It was not fun. And, I remember, when the economic crisis hit, I was, again, I've always been a cook, a chef, whatever, and I was making pretty good money before the economic crisis. I was making really good money. Things were really good. My career was awesome. Everything was just great. As good as it could be, for a cook. And then I remember after the economic crisis, I lost my jobs. I couldn't find any work. I had a business. I had a catering business, Cuban Delights. Okay, that's what it used to be called. I know, terrible, right? Horrible name. But bruh, I had a catering business and all this other stuff. And at the end of the day, it all went to shit. I don't know what else to say. Especially again, like I said, after the the 2008 economic crash, everything just went to shit. And so I lost everything. And on top of losing everything, I lost my jobs, I lost my contacts, I lost everything. Okay, and I had to start from scratch, from nothing in Miami all over again. And so as I'm out there, looking for, new jobs, new work, whatever, all of a sudden, all the jobs, I was getting paid like 15, 16 bucks an hour back in the day. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't get a job that paid me more than like 10 bucks an hour. Yeah, that happened. And so all of a sudden, I was like, man, this is terrible. You know what I mean? This is so bad. I mean, because I remember my first ever job. Again, if you guys want more context on that, you guys can, here, I'll show you. Wait, oh, hold on a second. What did I, hold on. Sorry, if you guys want a little more context on that, you guys can check out my, the rest of this channel. And right here, where it says, why I became a cook. I go more into detail there as to, my first job. But anyways, in that first job, okay, that mess, okay, of a job, and I started my career, I was getting paid 12 bucks an hour. So all of a sudden now, after so many years in the industry, having a pedigree, having, a former catering business, having all this, experience, knowledge, ability, all this stuff. And all of a sudden now, the best job I could get didn't pay me more than 10 bucks an hour. I mean, 9 bucks an hour, 10 bucks an hour. It was just horrible. And obviously the cost of living went up exponentially. So it was just the worst. So, unfortunately, I didn't have much of a choice, but, I had to go work. But instead of being able to work one job, or again, like I used to, work two jobs, but I was making money, saving money, trying to start a business, do whatever. Now I had to work two, three jobs, okay? And, each one was like $9, $10 an hour, and, everything was more expensive. So it was just basically, I was just treading water. I wasn't doing anything. It was so depressing, after so much success, with my career and so much, that I was able to do. And I bet on myself, I was doing good with my catering business. I could go on and on. The reason the catering business went, kaput, basically I had to, sell most of my equipment and, get rid of it was because, well, again, the economy died, and people cannot afford, high-end catering, because that's what I was doing. I was doing high-end Cuban food, now it's, it's a dime a dozen in Miami, but back in the day, there was only like two or three restaurants that did like really high-end, Cuban food, and I was one of the first, to really not just do that, in a restaurant environment, but I was doing the catering, and so, my clients, were people, that could afford it, and all of a sudden, my clients couldn't afford it. I didn't have any. It was all dried up. Now, I didn't sell all my equipment. I was just selling it gradually, as I was just trying to survive. But yeah, long story short, it kept getting more difficult and more difficult and more difficult. And this is Miami. And so, again, this is already by 2011, 2012. And it was just like, I felt like I was going backwards, not forward. And it was, again, like I said, beyond depressing. Again, we'll talk about this in other videos, but, I worked at a zoo. I worked at this place called Books and Books, in Coral Gables. Again, crazy memories, crazy whatever. And I had all my little side gigs. I still, every once in a while, I would do a little catering here and there. But long story short, that's, what I would, what I was living off of. And I was not making any money. Like I said, eventually I lost everything to the point where I had to go back to the house I grew up in. And again, as an adult, as a grown-ass adult, okay? I had to go sleep on my mom's couch, okay, with two jobs, okay, and again, a career that was very successful behind me. To me, it was just like, man, it was just beyond crazy depressing. So, at that point, I remember I had like an actual incident where I was on my way to one of my jobs and I got a flat tire. Okay, again, I had to do so much commuting, okay, to just go to the zoo, to go to Coral Gables, to go home, whatever. Anyway, so I remember one day I got a flat tire, and it was just, beyond depressing because I could not afford to pay for a tire. And I had to ask my aunt, God bless her soul, for, I don't know what it was, like $30, I think it was. Yeah, that's right. I didn't even have $30 to my name, even though I was working like an animal. And so anyways, it was so depressing, that like that was the moment, that I just broke and I couldn't take it anymore. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't even afford a used tire because I couldn't even afford a brand new tire. Like I said, I couldn't even afford the $30 for a used tire. So I was like, all right, man, that's it. We got to figure something out. So, at that point, I had already, I still had some of my restaurant equipment, and I was trying to figure something out to move out from my mom's couch. Again, the house I grew up in and I helped pay for. So anyways, I was trying to get off of there, and I said to myself, you know what, instead of moving to another part of Miami and just continuing to tread water and not, make any headway, why not just move somewhere else? To another part of the country where you're going to be able to get paid, at the very least, what you were getting paid before, maybe get paid more, and just go on a new adventure. Again, try to increase your quality of life. At the very least, just something different. You've been doing the same old thing here in Miami, and it's just not working anymore. So what else could we do? So I started my search, and basically, it all kind of boiled down to two spots, okay, which was Las Vegas or Seattle. Okay. Now, Las Vegas, believe it or not, that was my first go-to place because, well, Las Vegas, Miami, basically the same. Las Vegas is just Miami in the desert, but not as much fun, and no beach, no South Beach, nothing like that. And, whatever. But the pay, the jobs I was able to land in Vegas, were very high high paying. Because I could just work at a casino. I could work at, so many places there. Like I said, I already landed I landed jobs. I was trying to land jobs before I got there. But anyways, just from what I was seeing in Vegas, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I can get paid like 17, 18, 20 bucks an hour or more to just be a cook, a regular cook in Vegas. So I was like, all right. So that was kind of like my first choice. But where I really, really wanted to go was Seattle. But I just never... I never thought that I could, make it in Seattle because it was such another planet. Like I said, I had already been there before. And to me, it was just so foreign. And I just didn't know what was available out there. To me, Seattle was just like a small little town compared to Miami or whatever. So I said, let me research and let me check out Seattle. And I started seeing that, hey, wait a minute. They were paying just as much, or pretty close to what I could get in Vegas. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. And then I realized, okay, there's no state income tax, just like in Florida. Okay, so there's no state tax. I was getting paid just, I could get paid, very relative close to what I could get paid in Vegas. And then, all these other factors where I didn't want to move to Vegas because, well, it was, like I said, it was just the same as Florida. I was already tired of the heat. After living in Miami for my whole life, I was like, all right, let's go to Seattle, which is the complete opposite end of the country. Again, that's why I have the map there, because you can see there, from Miami. Here, let's see if we can do it. Miami, all right, all the way to Seattle. Oh, right there. You couldn't get any further away. I was like on the other end of the spectrum, okay? On the other end, okay? Look at that. Okay? So I said to myself, all right, self, what are we going to do here? And I said, all right, let's go check out, Seattle. Hold on, let me see if I can zoom out here so you guys can see a little better. So I was like, all right, let's go check out Seattle. Let's go live in Seattle. Let's go, again, be out there where, I could probably see some snow. Definitely the weather was a lot better. It was cooler, 100%. Like the weather was going to be a lot cooler. I didn't know it was going to be that cold, even though I should have taken that into account. It's right next to freaking Canada. But whatever. To me, I wasn't even thinking about any of that. I was just thinking, all right, man, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. Instead of just moving to Vegas, let's move all the way to Seattle. That's as far away on the map as I could get without leaving the country. And again, home of Nirvana, home to, the music that I loved. Again, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people think that I'm crazy, hardcore conservative or whatever. But, the reality is that I grew up liberal. Nowadays, anyone that's, a libertarian or liberal or classic liberal, you already know, they put you in another category. But, I grew up liberal, again, live and let live, freedom for all, whatever. But the point I'm making is that, Seattle, liberal. It's always been liberal. Liberal 101. Like that's where all the liberals go on the West Coast, and especially Seattle. A place like Seattle was like a, like a spot. That was very lefty. Very whatchamacallit, like very liberal. Okay. I didn't know how liberal it was until I got there, but that's another story for another day. But anyways, long story short, I was like, all right, let's go. Let's make it happen. So I remember I flew out there, and well, before I flew out there, I was just trying to get ready to go out there, okay? And again, I said to myself, all right, man, it's going to be, better weather, completely different adventure, a real adventure instead of moving to another part of Florida or even Vegas, whatever. It's the same old shit. Over there, it's just a completely different world. So let's go for it. And like I said, what really, kind of, cemented it for me was the pay, that I could go out there, be a regular cook and get paid pretty good money. So I was like, all right, man, what am I waiting for? Let's get the hell out of here. So I remember that, I made this decision. It was already like, I think November of 2012, give or take, around November of 2012, December, by the time December came along, I was like, all right, man, I cannot be out here anymore. I just can't survive out here. I cannot do another year of this. I just can't. I don't want to. I will not be here. I'm out of here. I can't. Oh, wait, look. Shout out to some coffee. All right, let's have a little coffee since we're talking about Seattle. I know we're having some Cuban coffee, but just pound the rest of this coffee here. And, I love coffee. So I was like, all right, let's go to Seattle. Why not? A lot of coffee up there. So anyways, I remember, once I finally made that decision, I was like, okay, now let's see how much, money I can, muster up here. So I had, again, like I said, I still had some restaurant equipment, meaning I had some, professional grade coolers. I had like a meat slicer. I had like a giant espresso machine, like the really giant espresso professional ones. I had a bunch of shit. So I sold all that. I had a Honda Element. By the way, those cars are amazing. I would kill for another Honda Element, but anyways, whatever. I had a Honda Element at that time. I had, all these things. So I sold everything. Okay. And I said, I'm out of here. I'm done. You know what I mean? We're going to go to Seattle. So I sold everything. I had a bunch of money. I don't know how much money I had left over. But anyways, I got all that money and I bought my ticket and I got myself, there was no Airbnb back then. So I just, I got myself a hotel. I'll never forget. In fact, let me see if we can get the hotel. But before we show you there. So my flight, unfortunately, there was no real direct flight back then, from Seattle to Miami. Or it was just way too expensive. So the least expensive option was that I had to fly to New York. All right, so I had to fly to LaGuardia. By the way, fucking hell on earth. But anyways, I fucking had to fly to LaGuardia. And then from LaGuardia, then from there, I had to fly all the way across to Seattle. So I was like 7 hours on the plane. It says it says like 5 hours and 40 minutes here. But anyways, that was a long ass fucking plane ride, from beginning to end. And I remember when I landed in LaGuardia, I basically had like 30 minutes, to like run to the other end of the airport just to get to my other connection to make it to Seattle. So, whatever. So I flew out to Seattle, and so let's just get into where I was in Seattle. So when I landed in Seattle, by the way, I know that like this place like the back of my hand now. I landed here, this SeaTac Airport. Okay, so boom. All right, that's where I landed. And I remember I'd stayed at a Days Inn. Let's see if it's still there. Oh, let me see if... I'll never forget this. I think this is it. This is the only one, right? Yeah, there it is. Boom. Yeah, that's it. So I stayed there. Let me see. Let's double check that this is it. But I think it was. So so you guys can see exactly where I stayed when I landed there. So I landed there in early... Come on, man. What's going on? How come I can't... What can't I see? What's going on? There we go. Where's the Days Inn? Yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay, so that's the Days Inn I stayed in right there. Okay. How about them apples, right? That's pretty cool, right? They're still there. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so, but I remember, back then, I was a major pothead. And so, like, I needed my weed. And so, like, to me, I was just like, man, what am I going to do? Because I need my weed as soon as I get there. Yada, yada, yada. And I remember, before I moved out there, that the weed was legal. They had just made weed legal. Recreational. I'm pretty sure it was, yeah. It was already past the medical. They made it, I think, recreationally legal. So what did I do? Well, what does any pothead do? You know what I mean? We got to figure out your contacts. So before I even flew out there, so again, before I got to Seattle, obviously, I got my hotel. I started looking for jobs. I started looking for a place to live, per se. But again, I just kind of went out there on a limb. I did not have a job. I did not have a place to live. None of that shit. So I moved out to Seattle. But one thing I did is I went on Craigslist. Now, I'm sure you guys still use Craigslist today. But I went on Craigslist and I looked for somebody that could bring me some weed. Okay, because again, I figured, well, it's legal. I can find this on Craigslist. It shouldn't be a big deal. And sure enough, it wasn't a big deal. So as soon as I literally landed and I got from the airport and I, the taxi or whatever it is, brought me over here to the Days Inn. I wasn't even here in my room for like 2 hours before I got the knock on my door. Okay, and it was the dude. All right, I forgot what the guy's name was, but he looked like a pirate, literally. And I remember I was staying in one of these rooms. I don't know what room it was, but man, I wish I could show you. Unfortunately, I can't go into the parking lot. But that might be the dude right there. He looked just like that guy. I know, right? all guys in Seattle look the same for the most part. But anyways, all the way back there, there's like some covered parking, and I remember in the parking lot, he came and he brought me the weed, and I bought some weed from the guy, and he brought me a bunch of edibles, and I had never even had an edible before in my life. So I was like in fucking heaven. I just landed in Seattle, and I got some weed delivery. I got some edibles. I was fucking living the dream. Okay, so I stayed at that Days Inn for, I want to say, maybe a week or less. So you can maybe see it back there, but it was back there. All right, maybe we can. I don't think it matters, but whatever. Anyways, the point I'm making is that I stayed there for about a week. Okay, and then after that week. I found a place to live. I found a place to stay. So this is SeaTac Airport. It's not anywhere, close to Seattle proper. You see, Seattle's all the way Space Needle. You see, I eventually lived in front of the Space Needle. But anyways, I remember. So eventually, once, I was. So every single day that I was there, I was basically looking for work. Again, I didn't know anything about Seattle or the area or nothing like that. I was looking for work, and I was looking for a place to live, mainly a place to live, because I had bought myself, again, with everything that I sold, I had enough kind of money, funds, in order to kind of, have a little cushion before I started working, because I knew it was going to be a while, it was probably going to be a few weeks or whatever before I even got my first paycheck. So whatever. And by the way, all this is like the hood. I did not know it was the hood, but obviously I should have known. But anyway, everything around White Center, SeaTac Airport, Rainier Valley, all this shit here was the hood. But again, coming from Miami, I was like, man, this shit ain't hood. I'm fucking hood. This ain't shit. And whatever. It is hood, but it's not Miami hood. I'll tell you that. So whatever. I didn't even fucking think anything of it. Whatever. So I didn't even know it was the hood until years later. When I was living there, and people eventually told me, and I figured it out on my own. But anywho's. It's another story. So the first place I moved was West Seattle. Okay, so basically, all the way from the Days Inn, I moved all the way up here to West Seattle. Okay, and let me see. I think I know the. Let me see if I can remember exactly where I lived. Let me see. Because there's a story behind that. I think it was here. Let me see. Where was it? Man, I should have done this. What is it? I should have had it set up before I started the show. Okay, I think it was here. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, boom, here, and then through this way, and then I think it was around here. No, not quite. Okay, hold on a second. But anyways, while I look for it. So anyway, so what I did is like on Craigslist. Oh, I think it was over here. On Craigslist, I was able to find. Oh, there it is. I think it's right here. There it is. Boom. Okay, look at that. That's how much I fucking remember, right? So, all right, here. Let me give you a better view here. Okay, there it is. There it is. Boom. So I moved here. Okay. So after I left, the airport, the Days Inn at the airport, I moved there. Okay. Right there. That literally right there. Okay. All right. Man, let me see if I can find some pictures. Hold on. I know I got some pictures. Hold on a second. Real quick. Okay. But anyway, so I moved there. Where's man? Maybe hold on. I'm looking for the folder because I know I have a folder with a bunch of pictures and stuff. Oh yeah. No, sorry. I apologize. Oh, there it is. Okay, boom. Oh, there it is. Boom. Okay. Here. So this is here. Let me see here. Let me zoom this so you guys can get an idea. Look at my dumb ass here. No. Hold on. No. Look at that. Boom. Okay? So that's me. You know, basically, I had just gotten to Seattle. Okay? So that's how I got to Seattle. Look at me, man. Look at, wow, man. That's 2013. So that's like 11 years ago. Okay? So that's me. All right? Standing out front. Okay? I had maybe been there 2 months. You know, 2 months tops. Okay? All right? So let's get rid of that. And that was right there. You know, right there. Okay? It was that place. I remember the address. Look, 40th, 5901, whatever. Anyways, it has changed a little bit, but whatever. Anyway, so I live there. Okay, and so on Craigslist, so what I did is like I found, you know, a person that was looking for a roommate. Because again, they was just trying to get on my feet, you know, and so this person that was looking for a roommate, you know, it was this lady, you know, she was like Jabba the Hutt. I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's what she looked like. Jabba the Hutt. And she seemed very nice, very friendly. She was from Austin, Texas. She worked for Amazon, whatever. But then I think she had like some sort of, accident. And that, you know, all of a sudden, you know, so she used to bike to the Amazon warehouse every day or some shit like that. And all of a sudden she had like an accident. And after the accident, you know, she couldn't bike anymore. And then she just lost her job and, you know, became giant and fat and whatever. But again, I don't even think anything about it. You know, I'm just like, at first I was like, oh, okay, she seems cool, awesome, responsible. The whole thing was great. And then after I moved in and a couple months passed, that's when the problem started. You know, the bitch was fucking crazy. And it just did not work out great. But anyways, that's another story. You know, we'll continue on that one in a second here. I don't want to get sidetracked too much just yet. So I remember when I first got there, I mean, think about it. Look how beautiful this looks, you know, compared to Florida. And like you see, like the elevation, you know, all this stuff was like, wow, this is awesome, man. This is great. And I remember, again, just like in that picture I showed you, you know, I would come out. And so I moved in January of 2013. Okay, so when I was making my decision, it was December of 2012, and it took me like about a month, you know, month and a half. Like I said, November, December. But anyways, it didn't take me long to sell everything, get out of there, and then boom. And I remember that was my first experience leaving Miami, moving out of Miami. And I would, you know, the people that I knew, my friends, my coworkers, my whatever, I told them, like, hey man, I'm leaving Miami. I'm moving to Seattle. Blah blah blah. And it was only like 2 or 3 people that thought was cool. Everybody else was like hating on me, hating. They were all mad and upset that I was leaving. And it's not like these people were like, you know, really good friends of mine that I was, you know, I knew for like 15 years. And I understand, you know, why, you know, maybe they didn't want me to leave or whatever. No. It was basically just coworkers and people that I kind of just loosely knew. And just the fact that I was leaving that hellhole of Miami, okay, and moving on to bigger and better things, to, you know, different horizons, all of a sudden now everybody hated my guts. And I was like, man, fuck this, man. Fuck all these people. Fuck all this shit. And it just, you know, wanted me to get out of there even quicker. So long story short, like I said, you know, by the time I landed here, it was like mid-January, okay? So January. So again, January in Florida, it's still fucking summer, okay? And then I moved to January in Seattle. You know, it's fucking cold, man. You know, think about it. I mean, again, I was, you know, right next to fucking Vancouver, Canada there. So there was no snow or anything, but it was cold. But for me, it was awesome. It was amazing. I never got to experience anything like that. And, you know, again, moving out there to like a cold climate, you know, a place that had like seasons and things like that was awesome. And like, you know, one thing, the reason I haven't moved on from this little picture here is I remember one of the first things that I experienced, which was like so amazing to me, was I remember when spring finally came. I think like around March or whatever, and spring finally came, and I had just, when I would just walk out here, okay, I would just walk out here, and then this little area here, which by the way, it's all nasty and overgrown. It was not like this when I lived there, but it was nice and green and lush and beautiful. But this little area here, yeah, man, I can't believe it all looks like shit right now. Look at that, it's terrible. But anyways, this area here was all green and lush, and it had a bunch of tulips. of different colors and a bunch of, you know, things that were different colors. And it was just so beautiful to me and so awesome. And I was like, wow, I'm definitely in a different, you know, area. I'm definitely in a different part of my life now. Everything was just like, wow, 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 whatever. And obviously, as the year went on, you know, again, this is fall, I'm sure. You know, this is taking, yeah, November of 2022. You can see, you know, all the colors. You know, for some of you guys, this is normal, but for me, you know, everything is always green in Florida. You know, you never got to see, you know, the things change color or anything like that. So, yeah, long story short, you know, I mean, that was like something I'll never forget. But this is my old stomping grounds, and so like here, let's just go back up here. So I remember. Okay, so I lived there, and I remember, you know, me living there, and eventually, once I got settled in there, you know, obviously I looked for a job, and you know, the jobs that were really available to me, that were at least worth my time, and what, you know, that they were going to pay me what I wanted to get paid. The reason I came out there to begin with was in downtown Seattle, but anyways, before we get to downtown Seattle, so anyway, so my daily thing was that I was, you know, I would, you know, I didn't have a car, I didn't have anything, so I would walk. So basically, I would leave the apartment, you know, either through there or through the back. Okay, through back here actually. See up there, you see? Look, this is the back right there. So I would come through there and just like, yeah, I guess they closed it off, but there used to be stairs there. Okay, and I used to climb those stairs. All right, and then basically, you know, walk up this hill. Okay, this is my walk. Okay, my daily walk. Okay, one shape, form, or another. So I would walk, you know, through this neighborhood. Pretty cool, right? Pretty different than Miami, I'll tell you that. You know, so I would walk all the way up here to the main avenue, the main street. Still got a ways to go. Hold on, I'm getting there. Oh yeah, that church. I'll never forget this church right here. You used to see it every time. Okay, so da beep beep boop, pop pa. You know, walk all the way over here. Okay, to the main street. What was it? Forgot the street. Oh yeah, California Avenue. Oh geez, how could I forget? And I lived on Juno. Again, Juno Street. Man, I can't believe I forgot. But yes, obviously, you know what I mean. Like I remember all now as I'm watching. You know. So anyways, so this is it. So I remember, you know, when I used to go, when I needed to buy blunts. You know, I would go to this little store right here, Juno Market. Boom. And look, there's some Chinese food. I'm glad that these places are still there. Well, it says 2021, so I don't know if they're still there, but I'm sure they still are. So I used to buy my stuff there, and think about it. Like, again, coming from Florida, from Miami, if you know anything, it's like, man, a brick building. Like, we don't have no brick buildings, you know? Actual real Chinese food. Anyways, whatever. So, yeah, this was still a fitness place. Anyways, but long story short, yeah, those people doing CrossFit there, or whatever the fuck. But... so I used to go there and buy, you know, like, you know, just basic supplies. But daily, you know, when I had to go to work, you know, I had to take the bus to downtown Seattle. So I would walk, you know, all the way up that hill, and then I would walk down this street. Okay, to the bus station. Let's see if we can find the bus station. Okay. Somewhere. Eventually we're going to get there. Hopefully then... oh, yeah, is it... I mean, I'm remembering some of these buildings. But anyways, I would walk all the way down here. Did I pass the bus station? Is the bus station even there anymore? Whatever, man. Anyways, the point is, I think it was around here. Maybe it's a little further. Jeez, man. Anyway, so yeah, I would, you know, I would get to the bus station. Yeah, it was definitely... oh, there it is. There it is. Boom. So I will get to that bus station, and then by the way, like I was doing breakfast at a restaurant. We're gonna show you now in a second, you know, in downtown Seattle. But so I would walk in darkness, okay, because you know I was gonna go cook breakfast, okay, at the Alexandria Hotel, downtown Seattle. And I remember I used to walk, you know, in the dead of night, you know, again like at 3 a.m, 4 a.m, whatever it was, 5 a.m. You know, to get to this bus station, and then I would take the rapid ride bus, and then that bus, you know, would pick me up there, and then it would take me all the way down to downtown Seattle. Okay, so it was around here. Okay, so this is where it was, and then the bus station's there. Boom. Okay, so it would pick me up right there. Okay, pick me up there, and then it'd take me all the way down this street. you know, all the way through here to this little area here. See, look, check this out. This is really nice and really cool here. Check it out, see? Ah, very nice area. But yeah, so it's so cool. Think about it. You know, me coming there, you know, again, a big fan of music and all this other shit. And all of a sudden, like, you know, this is like right there. Look, there's like an actual, you know, ice cream parlor, you know, milkshake stop. You know, I'm glad that all these places are still there. Look, a record store. You know, I'm sure like Nirvana was there. Look, there it is. Look, see, Nirvana, definitely, you know. So, can you walk in there? Oh, yeah, look at that. Boom. Look at that. Fond memories of this place. I used to go there all the time, and it was fucking awesome, okay? But anyways, all right. That's pretty cool you can do that. So anyways, and so the bus would come all the way down to this street, and then it would go down this street, okay? And it would go all the way down that street, and then it would take me, you know, all the way to here, okay? And then, you know, we would take Fauntleroy, you know, all the way through here to the West Seattle Bridge, okay? And then, you know, we would cross the West Seattle Bridge, and then from the West Seattle Bridge, it would go all the way up north here, okay? All the way till downtown Seattle, okay? Actually, around here. So there's a Pike Marketplace or whatever, but it was around here somewhere. We'll find it in a second. But before we do that, so I remember when I first moved there, is there like a... Man, things have changed so much. I think that's like a new addition there or something. I don't know what. Let's see if I can get like a view from the bridge. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so think about it. Every single day, you know, I just moved there, and every single day I would, like, you know, walk to my bus, and then I would take the bus, and the bus would take me, you know, basically I was coming. Okay, so you see where that car is? I was taking that side, okay, and the bus was going, you know, whatever, and then I would just look out to my left, okay. I would look out to my left, and then boom, look at that. That was my view, okay. I got to see downtown Seattle. And there's, you know, there's where the Seahawks play and the Mariners play and shit like that. But downtown Seattle, that's where my job was. And so I was like, wow, man, I'm like living that dream, you know, something that I wasn't, you know, gonna be living in Miami, man, because again, it's just a different world, different everything. But anyway, just seeing the boats, seeing the little tugboats, just seeing everything was just so different, man. To me, it was just like, wow, man, I'm just like loving life up here. No, I wanted to get back up there. How can I get up there? Yeah, that's like below the bridge there. But anyways, so, you know, I would, you know, go all the way over there. And I remember, actually, that wasn't my first job. No, my first job, eventually I got the job at the Alexandria. I remember I really needed a job immediately. So my first job was here on Alki Beach. All right, look at this. Over here on Alki Beach. All right, and the water there is like negative 48 degrees or whatever, okay? But there's like a little Statue of Liberty there. I don't know where that... There's that Statue of Liberty. And I remember, you know, again, I had just moved there, and I went to that you know, I had a job there, you know, there was like a pub, an Irish pub. I don't know if it's still there. Man, maybe not. Let me see. Let me see if the pub is still there. Come on. No. Okay, that pub is not there anymore. All right, whatever. Probably went out of business. You know, for obvious reasons. You know, it was fucking terrible. But anyways, the point is that it was like a whatchamacallit, an Irish pub that I worked at, and it was basically right there, okay? And it was right, you know, really close to the Statue of Liberty. And I remember, you know, after work, you know, I used to go there and just like, wow, man, you know, I would like just take it in. You know, the fact that they had like a little mini Statue of Liberty there, it was just so, I don't know, it just meant so much to me, because it was like, man, finally, I escaped Miami, the hellhole of Miami. And now I'm out here, and I'm, again, starting to live the dream. And it was just, it was like weird. I don't know. Like that Statue of Liberty just like signified a lot to me for whatever reason. And but this is the beach. This is what it really looked like, okay? Like that. It was just fucking trash. It was like the trashiest beach. I just come from fucking South Beach, and like, you know, this beach was trash, but it wasn't the point. You know, the point, look at that. Look at that view. The mountains there. That's I think the Olympic Mountains or whatever. Um, but yeah, beautiful, beautiful thing. Meh, dog. Okay, look at that. Oh yeah, obviously you get to see the Space Needle, you got to see downtown, you got to see everything. But eventually, you know, that job sucked, and I kept looking for another job, and eventually I did find another job, and then the other job was in downtown Seattle, and then eventually, again, I would take that bus that I was telling you, and I would take it down here to downtown. Let's see if the Alexandria Hotel is still there. Alex, and maybe not. I don't know if I'm spelling it right. Yeah, probably not. Whatever. I mean, maybe the hotel's not even there anymore. I wouldn't fucking doubt it. But long story short, it was a hotel. Okay, it was a hotel out here. Okay, and you know, I remember when I got that job at the hotel in downtown Seattle. I remember that, you know, the chef and the people that were in the fucking hotel, you know, the ones they were like, oh, this is like a high end, you know, a 5-star hotel. I don't know what the fuck it was, and I'm like, bro, I come from fucking Miami, bro. This is a bullshit fucking hotel here. I mean, that's what I was thinking to myself. But I remember how, you know, they were so like, you know, oh, this is like a, you know, one of the highest end hotels here in Seattle. You should be lucky to work here. And I'm like, bro, you know how many fucking places 10 times better than this shit? I used to work in Miami. You know, this is like the equivalent of fucking Holiday Inn to me. The fuck out of here. So, whatever. Anyways, the point is that, you know, I worked at the fucking hotel. And it was like on 3rd Avenue, I think. And I don't know where the fuck it was. It was some hotel here. But, oh, you know what? I think it was this one right here. It was a Kimpton. Let me see. Is that it? Maybe. I don't fucking know. Whatever, man. But anyway, so look, this is, so I was working here. So the bus would drop me off somewhere around downtown, and I would have to walk, you know, to my job. I think it dropped me off. So yeah, but you can get an idea. So I think it dropped me off like somewhere on 1st Avenue. Oh, there it is. The Alexis Hotel. There it is. That's where I worked. There it is. Not the Alexandria, the Alexis Hotel. Okay. So I worked here. Okay. And I remember the bus would drop me off, you know, somewhere like on 3rd or 4th Avenue, right? And I would have to walk down. But here, so you can get an idea. But then after work, you know, you're tired as hell, you know, from working in the kitchen, and then you had to walk. I think it was on this end that I walked. But anyways, but you can just get an idea. You know, I had to walk up this steep ass hill all the way up to my bus stop. Look at this. Look at that. That's like the view there. So like, look, that's how steep it was. Okay. It's fucking nuts, right? Almost like a 90-degree angle. Because I remember when I eventually got a car and I was driving up there, it was so scary because I wasn't used to that kind of shit. And, you know, again, the car would just fucking go back on its own, especially if it was slippery or whatever. Fucking nuts. So look at that. So yeah, and I would walk, I think, all the way up here to 3rd. Yeah, there it is. And boom, that's where I would catch my bus. See, right there. Right there. Look, I remember this spot right here. Many a bums I used to fight with there. Bums, there were always bums in fucking Seattle. So, look at that. So right there. Oh, no, I don't want to go in there. I'm glad the flower shop is still there. But anyways, and that's where I would catch my bus to go back to West Seattle. Isn't that crazy, huh? Yeah, look at that. Cool, right? So, right there. That's where I would catch the bus. A little trip down memory lane here. So anyways, but yeah, so like, you know, again, and the bus would drop me off. I don't think it dropped me off there. I think it dropped me off somewhere else. And I would have to walk down. I don't know if it dropped me off there or somewhere else. Maybe there. But anyways, and I would have to walk down every morning, you know, walk down all the way down here, boop-a-doop-a-doop, to get to the hotel. Okay, and look how close we were to the water. Okay, because there's you see, the Pike Marketplace and all that shit there. Well, the pier. Okay. And it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. So there's the pier, there's the water. Okay, but anyways. All right, whatever. Let's get out of there for a second. So that's the Alexandria Hotel, right? The Alexis Hotel, sorry. So that's where I would work, and I would come in through here. You know, this is where we would, the entrance was back here. Is that a tunnel now? Wow. Yeah, things have changed a lot. but the entrance was let me see where it was. I'm sorry, man. Hopefully I'm not boring you guys to death here, you know, with my my adventure, you know, going down memory lane. Yeah, but this has changed. Like I said, I was on Post Avenue, but it's changed so much, man. They've been doing a lot of construction. There it is. Okay, boom. So I'll show you exactly where I came out of. Somewhere here. Man, this changed a lot too. I think, yeah, right there. Boom, those doors right there. Because I smoked cigarettes back then. So every time I would go on a smoke break, I would come out here and smoke out here. So, but anyways, this is where we come in through the hotel and leave the hotel. You see, you get like a special thing there. And then that's it. And then, yeah, we would walk either up that street or up, I think it was the other street that I used to walk up to get to the bus station. Yeah, it was this street. Yeah, I remember it fondly. I used to walk up this street here to get to the bus station. Oh, that steep ass fucking hill. So, yeah, and I remember in the mornings I would walk down, you know, this, you know, from up here somewhere. I don't know, I forgot where the bus dropped me off, what street exactly, but it was a few streets up, and it might have been the same street, and then just walk there to get to my job. And so that was at the Alexis Hotel, and I remember I was there for a little while, but the chef that hired me hated my guts. I wonder why. I'm such a nice guy. But he hated my guts because I came up there and, I was just a dumbass cook. I was just hired as a dumbass cook, but I knew so much more than he did because I actually came from Miami, from real big, hotels and real big, endeavors and shit like that. And so I'm fucking coming out here to the fucking, Alexis Hotel, some bullshit ass fucking hotel. And it was just like, whatever, man. You know what I mean? I was running circles around, the people, but it was easy for me. It wasn't like anything crazy. But yeah, he just didn't like me for whatever reason. A lot of my bosses just don't like me, I guess maybe because I fucking, what is it? Like, outshow them or something? Or, what's the word I'm looking for? Is like, not outwork them, but like, I make them look stupid, I guess. Or not make them look stupid, but what was it? Like, all of a sudden when they would see me work, a lot of people would look at the chef or my boss and be like, hey, well, wait a minute. Why is that guy working more? Why does he have more knowledge? Why can he do more? Why, all this shit, Why are we even hiring you for? I was like a threat to a lot of my bosses, okay? Even though I was, the last thing I wanted was to be a boss. I had already been multiple times a boss in Miami. The last thing I wanted was to be a boss out here, and but yet, everyone that hired me always felt threatened after just me working there for a little while. So eventually, I had to get the fuck out of there. But I remember, from that job, again, I worked on Alki Beach at some fucking shit pub. Then I worked at the Alexis Hotel, and then from the Alexis Hotel, by the time I was working at the Alexis Hotel, I was already having problems with my roommate at that place. She was just constantly wanting me out of there. And so basically I figured out that she was scamming people, where she would, get people to move in there and then, again, ask for a deposit, ask for whatever, and then eventually, kick them out and just to keep the deposit, just to keep the extra money. And then she would just constantly, have people, coming in through there and then constantly doing that to them. So eventually what I did was that, like, by that time I already, I found my girlfriend, my first girlfriend in Seattle, and she lived over here in Uptown, in Lower Queen Anne, okay? So, she lived over here on, where was it? Hold on. Oh yeah, right here, boom, right in front of the Safeway. So right here at this apartment building, okay? By the way, it's probably changed a lot. Man, I gotta really take a piss, man. Please give me 1 second. I can't hold it any longer. I'm going, ugh. 1 second, 1 second. I'll be back in like 2 seconds. Sorry about that. I couldn't concentrate. I was losing my concentration there. I had to piss like a racehorse. All right, we're back. Oof, Jesus. All right, so I lived right here at these apartments, right? Okay, they look exactly the same. Okay, so this building's like 100 years old, and for me, I had never ever lived in a building that old because again, coming from Florida, we don't have buildings that old or anything like that. So like the oldest, building structure I lived in was like, I don't know, 1970 something, 1980, whatever it was. I don't know, it's 70s. So this is like 100 years old. This is built, I don't know when, but I lived in that building, okay? In fact, I lived exactly like in like, I think like here or here. I don't know, I think it was the first floor, but anyways, right there somewhere, okay? And then you see the parking lot used to come out through back here. Right there. But anyways, okay, so she lived there. Okay, so she lived there, and I remember, obviously she knew what was happening with my roommate and all this other stuff. So, she basically said to me one day, hey, would you, forget about her. Don't worry about it. You want to just move in with me, and then we can just split the rent and this and that. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. Because I already knew where she lived. And, for me, it was a lot closer to downtown, a lot easier to get to work and all this other shit. So I was like, all right, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. And so I moved there. Okay, I lived in that building for a little while, okay? And I was living in that building, and, I used to go to that Safeway, okay? This Safeway right here. You see? And then one of the cool things about this place, so up until then, I used to have, the same guy that brought me weed to the Days Inn since I moved there. Well, guess what? He was always, he was still bringing me weed, but by that time, you could already go to a store and get weed. But I still think that you needed, you still needed to get a medical card. So basically, by that, again, this is like, it's not even 6 months into me living there. By that point, I was already like, all right, I got to get my medical weed card. So I remember I got my medical weed card. And so again, I lived in that building right there. And I got my medical weed card. And then I would walk all the way to the end of the street. And I would go to the weed shop right there. That was the first time I ever been in a weed shop my whole life. Where's the weed shop was there? I guess it's not there anymore, but it was around here. This is went out of business, but this is like a bar. So you look, by the way, that's the same bus. Yeah, this place went, yeah, we used to go here all the time. Me and my Aussies, me and my girlfriend and her friends and shit like that. So, and by the way, I got videos. I'll show you the videos, but I got videos on my channel where I'm walking down this street. I'll show you that in a second. But the weed store was somewhere here. I guess it went out of business. It was somewhere around here or here. Not there. No, I think it was... Sorry. Oh my God, come on, get out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of the store. Okay. But the weed store, I don't know why it's not there anymore. Again, it's Seattle. Do you know how many fucking weed stores there are? So anyways, the weed store was right here somewhere. So I used to just go there, and it was fucking awesome. I remember the first time I was ever in a weed store was like, again, a kid in a candy store. It was like the best thing ever, man. And, so I eventually just started buying my weed there. I mean, why have to deal with this guy and have him bring it to me and all this other shit? I could just walk to the fucking weed store and get whatever I wanted. So that's what I did, for the longest time. And so eventually... so this was my stomping grounds, right? So that bus right there, that's like the bus that I used to take. That's the bus that I used to take either to go to work, whether I was in West Seattle or, living here. I would living here and I would take that bus, to get to downtown. It was only like a 5-minute drive or whatever, 5-minute bus ride or whatever to get to work or whatever. So, but yeah, this is my own stomping grounds. But let me see if I can find... hold on a second. I gotta find it over here. Uno segundo, por favor. So I can show you a video of back when I lived there. Okay. Hold on. So you can get an idea. So you can see exactly. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Check this out. So this is man, I can't believe this is 8 years ago. Holy shit. Okay, so check this out. This is 8 years ago. This is after I broke up with my girlfriend, but just to give you context, okay, of the area. So that boat place where we were eating was right there. Fucking terrible, right? So yeah, I mean, this is way down the line, all right? This came out way later, all right? Let me let's go back to where we were doing there. Oh no, what happened? Hold on. Let me see if I can find another video of me walking through the thing, so you can see, you know, even see a little more. Was it this one? No, hold on. I think it was the other one. I think it was here. Yeah, okay. that's my homie right there. That's the guy that got. If it wasn't for this guy right there that you're gonna see right there, I would never ever have picked up a camera. I would never be on YouTube right now. He is the guy. He is the guy that basically, you know. And this is like the first days when I was getting with the camera there, but. That's all like in the Olympic part, the fucking park that's right by the, you know, where I lived. The chemtrails, we all love those chemtrails. Right? Don't miss those. By the way, I still got that shirt. Look how much color it had then. Yeah, look, as you guys can see, man. Okay, look how much color that shirt had. I still have it here, right here. Look at this. Look how worn and torn this fucking thing is right there. Seen better days. Same shirt. But see, look, right there, that's the same street. So look. That's a Chase Bank I got kicked out of. On the right. Alright, enough of that. Okay, so here, I'm going to show you where that Rasha restaurant is. It was on the end, at the end of this street here. But yeah, this place has changed a lot. So that place where we were eating pho, you know, we're eating pho is on the other street. If it's still there. Yeah, there it is. So we were walking, yeah, we were walking from this street here. Come on. Yeah, we were walking down this street in this direction. No, there it is. See, look, it's out of business. See Rasha right there. Okay, so we were walking down this street here, crossing this over here. Out of business, man. Look at that. I'm guessing, you know, the COVID's killed it, but whatever. Anyways, so just to give you an idea. So, okay, so back to where we were. All right, where's the Safeway? Right there. Okay, so like I said, okay, so we're back here, okay, and eventually, you know, like I said, she's like, hey man, move out of there, move into here with me, and yada yada yada. And by the way, it was awesome, you know, living in that building, living with her. It was cool. It was an awesome experience, man. Again, just adding to the experience. Right there is the post office. Was that the post office? Yeah, I think so. No, I think it was a little further up. No, post office is up there. Anyways, whatever, man. The point is like I used to go to that Safeway a lot. The weed store was there. You know, those are my old stomping grounds. But eventually, what happened was like, you know, I had to leave the Alexis Hotel. You know, it was, that's it. You know, I already told you things were not going well there. You know, the guy hated me so much that he would every time I would clock in, he would put me in the basement of the building and make mayonnaise for like 8 hours straight. So, you know, he would punish me because, you know, by going out to the basement every day of my shift. Again, think about it, man. I come from fucking Miami where everything was like pure hell. Everything was just sucking. And all of a sudden, like I'm here in Seattle and this guy is paying me like 16, 17 bucks an hour to make mayonnaise for 8 hours. Like, bro, are you kidding me? That was awesome. You know, we'll go in there high as fuck. You know what I mean? Especially since that's all I was doing all day. And I would just sit there and just fucking make mayonnaise or whatever bullshit he wanted me to make in the basement. But anyways, so that was at the Alexis Hotel. But eventually I left that job. Okay, eventually I left that job. And I started working at this other place, the Harvest Vine. Okay? By the way, this place, the fucking probably one of the best restaurants in all of Seattle. Definitely have to go. I mean, it's still there. You know, I don't have any bad memories there, but a lot of really good memories. I remember again. Eventually, I did not get along with the boss. The boss fucking hated my guts, and we had to part ways. But man, you know, like so many fond memories there, and everybody loved me there. I loved everybody there, and then I worked there. Look at that. So, yeah, really good spot. You know, I was really proud of that job. It was Spanish tapas, Spanish cuisine. And so think about it. I'm Cuban. You know, Spanish food is basically my background. And, you know, I got to fucking work there, which was amazing. Look, there's the kitchen. Okay? Look, that's the general manager, Jeffrey. You know? Cool. All right. But anyways, I don't know any of those fucking guys, but I used to work right there. I used to work right there in that kitchen with an open, you know, kitchen. It was awesome. So think about it. You know, people would come in, they would sit there. And by the way, they had like a basement. You know, they had like a bunch of other seating. But, you know, I worked up there, obviously in the kitchen. And, you know, people would come there. And, you know, like all kinds of people. I had like that Schultz guy, you know, what the guy from Starbucks would come in there. You know, a bunch of other famous people. I don't even know. Well, you know, famous for Seattle. But whatever, I'm from fucking Miami, man. So it's like, you know what? You're the owner of Starbucks? Whatever, bro. You know, like, by the way, shout out to O.J. Simpson. I heard he fucking kicked the bucket today. But, you know, I used to fucking shuck oysters for fucking O.J. Simpson in a similar situation like that. You know, he would come, sit down. Anyways, whatever. The point I'm making is that, you know, it was awesome because it was easy job for me and I got paid really good money there. That was like the best paying job. The best working conditions. I worked 4 days a week and 3 days off, which was like insane, unheard of for me because, you know, working as a restaurant, you know, as a chef, as a cook, you know, you're working like six days a week minimum. And but each day was a 12-hour shift. And I'm like, bro, whatever, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like 12 hours ain't shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I used to work fucking 12 hours, 6 days a week. So, and I worked there. You know what I mean? And so I worked there for the longest fucking time. Man, I have really fond memories. But I want to show you where the Harvest Vine was in relative. So that's where I worked, okay? And I lived down here, okay? Somewhere, what was it? The Safeway right there. Okay, so directions, right? To here. Okay, so no, it's through here. Okay. So I used to, again, that's Capitol Hill. So you guys remember back during the George Floyd riots and then, you know, that they had that fucking, the autonomous zone in Seattle? It was right here. Right here. Literally right in this park right here. This is like, I think it was that park. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's the park, right? Cal Anderson Park? Or is it here? No, I think it was here. Oh, no, Cal Anderson Park. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is what I used to take. Okay. Denny Way. Okay. But anyways. All right. So this is like where the autonomous zone was, you know, back during the George Floyd riots. It was right there. Right fucking there. All right? Right in the middle of Capitol Hill. All right? So anyways, so I used to remember, you know, again, you know, when I started working there, you know, I used to take the bus, and the bus, you know, would take me all the way over there through here. You know, the bus would go through the Denny Way. See, let me see, bus. See? That's the bus route there. So anyways, I take there to the Harvest Vine, you know, get off of work. Okay, take the, you know, the bus right there, you see? I used to walk all the way up here. Okay? Or drop me off here, whatever. Anyway, drop me off here, picked up here, and then it would just take me back. Okay? And that was my job for a while. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I remember one night, you know, I was working, and we had a freak snowstorm. Okay, we had a freak snowstorm, and during that freak snowstorm, you know, Seattle got paralyzed, and there was no buses, no nothing at all. And so I had no choice, okay, I had no choice but to walk home after a fucking 12-hour grueling shift on a weekend. And I remember, I'll never forget it, man. You know, I remember I was panicking. I was freaking the fuck out because I didn't know what the hell, because I never even seen snow, you know, to that degree before. And I was freaking out because, oh my God, my bus ride, I couldn't take my bus. You know, my girlfriend, you know, she had a car, but she couldn't come pick me up because it was, again, you seen how steep the hills were. And so imagine with the snow, imagine with the ice, imagine all that. So like there was no cars on the road, no nothing on the road. So I didn't have a choice. And so I had to walk home after my shift. And so I'll never forget that shit. You know, again, look, you can see right there, an hour and a half, okay? An hour and a half to walk home, okay? And, anyways, an hour and a half to walk home. What happened? Okay, so anyways, so an hour and a half to walk home. And again, this is like a super steep hill, you know, right there. It was like a super, so I had to walk downhill and then get to that, you know, part and then just walk all the way across the fucking city. An hour and a half in fucking snow. And by the way, I never really seen snow, you know, or never been in snow before. And I remember, I'll never forget, I was walking like a penguin half the time because I was, you know, I don't want to fucking slip and bust my ass because everything was all icy. Because I remember, Seattle's always raining. So when we got that freak storm, everything turned to fucking ice. I felt like the Mario Brothers, you know, like, you know, you're in the ice stage and you're just slipping and sliding everywhere. And again, everything was uphill, you know, basically, So from where I was all the way to where I lived, it was all downhill. So basically, if I fell, I was going to go down fucking hill. Fucking disaster. But long story short, I did not fall, I did not slip. You know, I was slipping and sliding everywhere, but whatever. The point is that I had to walk home, and I'll never forget it. And I remember I was like hating life. It was horrible. I was freezing my ass off. Things sucked, you know, as I was going down the route. But eventually, at some point, by the time I got to this point here, okay, you know, not too far off from the autonomous zone, you know, the future autonomous zone. This is way before, you know, this is way before any of that shit happened. Yeah, I remember by this point I was already getting like that runner's high, and so all of a sudden I started feeling good. And by the time I started to get here and then walking all the way back to, you know, to the house, you know, by that time I was already like, you know, feeling great. You know, I was like on that runner's high and all that shit, But I'll never forget, I had to fucking walk home in the snow. It was such an experience. It was so awesome. But yeah, anyways, so, you know, I was working at the Harvest Vine, working there for a while. And I remember, while I was working there, you know, obviously people knew that I smoked here. Let's go back to the Harvest Vine here real quick. So I remember on my break, you know, before we started the shift, okay, I remember this little park right here. So I used to go to this little park right here. See that little park? Okay. Was it there? Yeah, there. The little park right there. Okay. And and it's all, by the way, this is all fenced off. It's changed a lot because it was not like that before. Let me see more dates. Let me see if we can find more. I guess 2014. Okay, so there's like an entrance there. Okay, I guess I always had that gate. Whatever. Anyways. But the point is that that's the back to the Harvest Vine. And so I used to come, we used to come out through there, and I used to smoke my weed there sometimes in that little corner. Okay, but sometimes, I was like, all right, that's a little bit too close for comfort. So I used to come over here, all right, smoke my weed or cigarettes. Oh, well, I smoked cigarettes back there, but when I was gonna smoke my weed, I definitely came to the park, all right, and I smoked at that little park, and then we just go back to work, whatever, for the shift, because you used to come in and do a lot of prep work, get ready for the shift, and then we had like a little time to take a break, and then I used to go out there, smoke my weed, and then come back to work. Okay, and oh, actually, no, that was the back to the Harvest Vine. I used to remember I used to walk over here. Yeah, that was the build. That was the business next door. Yeah, that's right. So I used to walk to this little business next door, and that's where I used to smoke my weed. It all depended on the weather. Whether I went to the park or not. Anyways, but the Harvest Vine is right up here. You see, that was the entrance right there. You see. And there's like, all kinds of like restaurant seating down here and all that shit. But anyways. So, but I remember when I was working there, some of the employees, they used to fucking tell me, it's like, hey, Jose, where do you get your weed? And I'm like, well, I just get it at the fucking, the weed shop. It's like, why? He goes, oh, can you get me some weed? I'm like, what do you mean can I get you some weed? Are you fucking kidding? Why don't you just go to the store yourself? And they're like, well, I got a family, I got kids, I can't be going. Everybody had a reason and an excuse because they were just embarrassed. Again, this was still too early into the whole, weed being okay with everybody. So, people were still like embarrassed and scared to go to a weed shop. So long story short, I started being a facilitator, and I used to just, they used to give me money, and I used to go get them whatever they wanted, and I used to get it for them, and that's it. Again, this is all totally illegal because everything was legal then. So to me, it was like, I was like, how the fuck do these people not go to the store themselves and get the weed themselves? But whatever, me being the hustler, being the entrepreneur, being the whatever, I started helping people out with that. So eventually what happened was that, like, as I was working at the restaurant, again, same thing would happen with me and the boss, like it happened in many places, where the boss was starting to feel threatened by me because, again, just going back to, again, it was an open kitchen, remember? So just to give you an idea of how it was. Okay, you see, it's an open kitchen. You get to see right there. You see the cooks right there. That was probably me right there. In 2018. In fact, that might be me. Jesus Christ. Yeah, but it was 2018. No, was I still there? No, maybe not. Whatever, man. Anyways, the point is like I worked right there. It was open, blah, blah, blah. And so think about it. So when people would come into the restaurant, and I was one of the first person they would see, and my name is Jose Arteaga, and I used to cook the food amazing because, again, a lot of this food was like my grandma's fucking food. And the actual chef was a Filipino dude. Now, the original guy that opened this place was a Spanish dude. So it was a guy from Spain, okay? Then, again, he brought his recipes, brought the techniques, brought everything over there. And so long story short, he was the guy that was in charge, but it was him and his wife that owned the restaurant. But eventually they got a divorce, and so he left to the fucking Philippines. I don't know where the fuck he left to. And he left the restaurant to the wife. Okay, and by the way, she was fucking awesome. Everybody there was awesome. And then the guy that was in charge, okay, was this guy. I don't want to name any names, but anyways, he was a little Filipino guy, and he was the chef. Again, he was a great guy. Everybody was great. But what was happening was that as people would come into the restaurant, as the time would go on, and remember, I was there a lot because I would pick up shifts. I would do everything, man. I'm always working, man. So I was like, a lot of the people started to, think that I was the fucking owner. Because my name is Jose. I spoke Spanish. I cooked the cuisine, with two hands tied behind my back, eyes closed, shit that my grandma used to cook for the most part. So for me, it was one of the easiest jobs, one of the best paying jobs, one of the best working environments I ever had in my life. And then it got to the point where the people, even the Schultz guy, even the guy from Starbucks, even he thought it was the chef, the guy that was running the show. But I was just a cook there. So eventually, the real chef, he couldn't take it anymore, and he fucking hated my fucking guts. So again, I don't want to bore you with the details, but eventually he fucking fired me because, again, he could not stand that people thought I was the fucking boss. And again, on top of that, remember, it's an open kitchen. I'm very charismatic. And so, I was having conversations with the people. I was cooking the food. I was doing everything. Okay. Okay. Bebiendo. Ay, nada, pasa de vez en cuando. Yeah, no pasa nada. Yeah, sorry, Christian had something to say. Anyway, sorry, I didn't want to get sidetracked. There was something. So, long story short, you know what I mean? Like, I got fired from there. But at that point, I was already kind of like, doing entrepreneurial work, as I was telling you, with the whole weed industry. I had already made some friends in the weed industry. So as soon as I got fired, I was like, well, fuck this shit. I don't want to fucking cook anymore. I'm done with the cooking, because again, I loved to cook. I loved all that, but I just could not handle the fucking drama, the politics, the fucking chef getting his butt hurt. Obviously in Miami, if things were happening in Miami that were very similar, but everybody was all tough and macho, well, imagine here in very liberal Seattle, these guys were getting even more butt hurt by me. So I was like, whatever, bro. Fuck this shit. I'm done. I'm over it. Whatever. So, long story short, again, back in Miami, before I ever even moved out here, before things were really bad, I was doing restaurant consulting. I was doing business consulting. I was doing all that shit. So, as soon as I got fired, immediately I was like, all right, fuck this shit. I'm going to do consulting. I'm going to start doing consulting for the weed industry. And I started working with the weed industry, and I just got into the weed industry, And you already know how that industry is. You get paid in cash. It was, I was getting paid to help people, start their weed shop or their industry or whatever. So I got into the industry. And so all of a sudden, it was like, wow, I don't have to cook anymore. I was working very, very hard. Okay, it was a very, very difficult job, but it wasn't like, working in a kitchen. And, I was making a lot of money. As a consultant. And so all of a sudden, whatever, fuck it, it was amazing. I got to, work in the weed industry. I was a big pothead. What more could I have dreamt of? What more did I want? So long story short, that was the last kitchen job I ever had, was working at the Harvest Vine, because after that, I just went straight into consulting. And I was just consulting in the weed industry. And, well, I got all these perks from being in the weed industry. Think about it. How many people I knew, how many people that owned weed shops, were developing products in the weed industry. And it was still like at the very beginning of all that shit going on. So I was like, man, this is fucking awesome. So long story short, I just went into the weed industry. And, and then that's it. And so as I was in the weed industry, I was making money. I was doing great. And, okay, so I left there. All right. So now let's go back to where I used to live. All right. So I used to live, remember, right here at the Safeway, okay? So as you guys can see on the map, okay? And so that old building that I lived in right here, okay? Well, now I was making good money. Things were going really good. So I was like, all right, we need an upgrade. So I literally moved down the street, and we lived right here at this building right here, the Expo. Let me see if we can look at that. And I used to live right there. Look at that fucking nice ass building. And I had like a penthouse all the way up there. All right. Yeah, that's how much money I was making. All right, from one day to the other. I was like, fuck this shit. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, definitely wasn't going back to the kitchen. So, again, just working as a consultant, I was able to fucking, go up there and live up there. And I used to, man, I made so much money. I got a drone, and I was fucking flying that drone from the roof up there. And again, look where I was. Boom, right across the street from the fucking Space Needle, man. I don't know what else to say. Major upgrade, all right? So, I wasn't even in Seattle like 2 years, and I was already living here, okay? And I was already living in like the prime real estate and living in that park. And again, I got tons of videos where I'm, basically living there. You know what I mean? You get to see me at the park, me walking around the neighborhood, walking around there. But yeah, that was my life until then all of a sudden, like I was making really good money, just helping people with their businesses and smoking all the weed I wanted. And I had like the best view of the city, and I could go on and on and on. Eventually, I broke up with that girlfriend because, we kind of just went our separate ways. Shout out to her. She was awesome. But it's just we just didn't it just didn't last or whatever. And then that's it. I just lived there, and the reason I had to leave Seattle was because eventually the laws changed in Seattle when it came to the weed industry. And long story short, all my work dried up and I really couldn't do what I was doing anymore. And so I was like, all right, I got to get the hell out of here. And so I left Seattle eventually. But, and then, basically that's where I lived for like the longest time. And then while I was living there, I already knew, I was pretty conscious. I was pretty, I already knew that I wasn't going to be doing this consulting or working in the weed industry forever, So I was like kind of almost in panic mode, because I was just constantly trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, meaning I did not want to cook anymore, or at least I did not want to cook. By the way, hit the likes if you are enjoying this kind of content, enjoying this video. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, all that shit if you haven't already. But anyways, long story short, I knew that I wasn't going to be doing that forever. So I was like kind of panicking, because like, all right, what am I going to do now? What's going to be my next endeavor? I don't want to go cooking again. I don't want to do that anymore. I want something better for my life. I want something, just to better everything. And so, that's where my friend, okay, just going back to here, that's where my friend Abe, which I met at the Harvest Vine because we worked together there. He was studying at the local university. He was studying, film and photography and all this other shit. And I remember one day, okay, again, 8 years ago, he told me, hey, Jose, hey, bro, can you help me out with this project? Because, I need someone to help me with the camera. Do you know how to use a camera? Do you know how to this? Do you know how to that? And I was like, yeah, man, I actually do know how to use a camera, because back when I was growing up, my family, half my family were photographers. My dad was one of the first videographers. He was one of my dad back in the late 80s, 90s. He was the guy that was, filming, weddings, doing wedding videos back when wedding videos were still not a thing. They were still brand new. So he was doing wedding videos, videos of birthday parties, videos of all kinds of things. All right. So I was always hanging out with him, my cousins. And then, the other side of my family was in the restaurant industry. So, by the time I, graduated high school, I knew I didn't want to, wear a suit and tie, and I didn't want to have like a boring ass career and job. So basically I went into the cooking industry, because I was like, well, there's no way I'm ever going to make it into Hollywood. And, there's no way I could, because back then there was no YouTube, no nothing. It was just straight up, you got to do Hollywood the old school way, which is like, how much dick you can suck and how much ass you can kiss. So I was like, whatever, man. So in high school, I just went straight into cooking. But, at this point in my life, again, 8 years ago, my friend was like, hey, man, do you know how to use a camera? Do you know anything about this stuff? And I was like, yeah, man, yeah. I used to, obviously, I used to help my dad with all this, help my cousins. And, I used to make video projects for high school. When we had to do like a school project, I would try to do like a video project or whatever. So I knew how to edit, but again, edit, with VHS tapes. So long story short, I helped him out. And the minute that I had the camera in my hand, the minute that I was helping him film, the minute that, all of a sudden we went back to my apartment and we were editing on my computer and he was showing me the ropes, immediately I fell in love with it. It was like, I remember the feeling. I'll never forget the feeling, man. It was like when I was a kid, like an 8-year-old kid playing with Legos. And so all of a sudden, throughout the whole time that, I was doing the consulting, I was trying to do all these jobs and careers and businesses and all this shit. And nothing ever, stuck, because I couldn't find anything that I liked or loved. And then all of a sudden, I started doing the video stuff and doing the editing, and I fell in love with that. That was just like amazing. It was like I was in my happy place again. I was like a little kid playing with Legos all over again. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, I love, I love filming. I love editing. I love all this. What am I going to do now? And so all of a sudden that's when, I started watching YouTube. Or I was already kind of watching YouTube up until then. But, I don't know how old YouTube is per se, but it was still relatively new enough where I was like, all right, well, fuck it. Maybe I can just start making videos and putting them on YouTube and see where that's going to lead me. And that's where these videos are, So this video that you're watching there was one of my first videos ever. In fact, You can see there my first video ever, really. You know, which by the way, oh yeah, they're there. Okay, so this is my first video ever here. Publishing. This is my first video ever on YouTube. Hello, my name is Jose Arteaga, and I'm CEO of Redo Publishing. This is going to be the first of many videos that is going to be education on the subject of a near zero marginal cost and what the Internet of Things is. Okay, so look at that. Look how sharp I was. You know, look at that. Wearing my nice little suit. You know, looking like $1 million. You know, because again, I come from Miami, man. So again, you know, the whole idea of like, okay, I'm gonna be doing business consulting. I'm gonna be helping people out here with all this shit. It's like you gotta look the part, man. You know, so it was very easy for me to do my job down there. So look, you see that whiteboard back there? That's all these fucking ideas for businesses and jobs and all this shit that I was trying to figure out of what I was gonna do. So anyways, long story short, you know what I mean? That was my first video ever. Okay, and so like, what was I talking about? Well, the things that I was interested in back then, which again, nowadays, it's very common knowledge, but I was talking about like the Internet of Things. I was talking about near zero marginal cost, which I know most people don't know and even know what that means. But, you know, basically the fact that I was already predicting that things like YouTube, that things like Spotify, that things like Airbnb, Uber would basically change the world. You know, AI, all these things would change the world by, you know, basically providing, again, me being a business person, I knew that the main, you know, thing to stay in business is that you had to keep your marginal cost as low as possible, because the lower your cost, the more money you can make. Okay, so I already knew that, hey, you know, if we're gonna come into this world where you're gonna have like artificial intelligence, and we're gonna have all these applications, you're gonna have all this technology that's basically gonna, you know, reduce your cost, your marginal cost. Again, look at Uber, okay? How it has reduced the cost and provides a better service, right, than the old taxi service. But, you know, an Airbnb, you know, how it's competed with the hotels, and I can go on and on. Again, you know, you live in the future. We're in it now. So I was talking about all that shit back then. But, you know, obviously, look, I mean, this still has 258 views, and like 158 of those views are mine. You know, me watching this video over and over again. But long story short, I just started by just, you know, getting on camera and talking. All right. And then eventually, you know, I went from that to, you know, doing a few of those little short videos that I showed you. And then eventually I did my first video ever. All right. Check this out. I don't even know what the fuck this is. Okay. This is just my attempt. A short film about life. Okay. Again, my attempt at making my first real video ever. 86 views on this fucking thing. I just want to drink my shake so I can go back to work. I ain't got no time to chew. Here. This camera right here. Still have it. So I was doing this in my original GoPro, which I'll show you the GoPro in a second. Look how old this fucking thing, how beat up it is already.
That shit ain't easy.
That's on my GoPro there. That's me trying to lose weight, you know, to get to the sexy body I got today. And I used to be a fat motherfucker, man. Hey, look at this camera right here.
Okay, this is while charging, just to see if it works, while charging.
Communication.
While charging.
You're essentially being bombarded with images like electrons, and instead use words and lots of words. And the New Yorker is, one of the
Yeah, so that's at the place right across the street. You know, from the place that I lived. It was a very fancy schmancy, you know, very schmancy, what do we call it? Like grocery store. It's like I didn't want to go to Safeway anymore. Safeway was for fucking bums. No, just kidding. It's just like, you know, they had like I said, fancy schmancy stuff. I still went to Safeway, trust me. Yeah, that's terrible, terrible. No wonder no one watched this crap. That's on my GoPro there. And that's like the little fucking tram, for anyone that's been to Seattle, the monorail. You know, the same monorail from The Simpsons. I remember I used to show this, you know, I had this one girlfriend at the time back then. I showed this to her and she was just like, man, what is this shit? This is terrible. What are you doing? Everything that I did was on my own. You know, nobody believed in me at all. Okay, like I said, it's a miracle that I'm still here doing videos, and now I have all you guys watching, not just this, but the other channel and everything I do. But anyways, all right, we don't have to watch this whole thing. Well, might as well. I mean. Wow, man, I haven't seen this in forever. So that was like when I could afford to go see a doctor. Because being in Miami, I could never afford to go see a doctor. So I remember I was already making money. So I was like, all right, I can afford a doctor. That's in my apartment.
When you produce shows, you're getting this side of it, which is creating it yourself.
And that's our friend
and,
Jessica.
Like, doing it all from scratch.
She appeared in a bunch of videos
without hearing how
super
someone
fucking
else
hippie.
would do it, really, or like being told what to do.
Oh, you see there the GoPro? Look at
and there's
the
a lot to be
GoPro.
said for that. Like you're gonna learn your own process.
And that's a big camera.
I got a couple cameras going, so I kind of want to put some power.
Well, yeah, that's
so
what
I
we're
don't die.
Yeah, that's what we're planning on doing tonight. Is
But
just kind of talking, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, I had other plans. Like I was gonna have somebody come over here, and I was gonna do my new show.
Yeah.
In the kitchen with Jose.
Nice.
And it was just gonna be, you know, talking crap, just talking, like in the kitchen, hanging out. But kind of fell through. But then, I was hanging out with Abe, and then you said, hey, you guys hanging out? And I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Cool.
So we're here, and now we're filming this.
All right.
See, that's why, by the way, this is the reason I love doing what I do, because it's like right there, man. That's like a memory, man. That's like recorded, and it's like that actually happened. The whole thing is just like I got my life online, and I could just go back and like look at it and look at my life. So like, yeah, man, this is like just, oh.
This is awesome.
Check it out, Don. This is like way nicer than some of the 3D prints I've seen.
Yeah, these are nice.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, look, I had a
That's the
3D
first time I've
printer.
seen her-
I bought a 3D printer.
I had some friends who had the MakerBot.
Oh, okay, I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Does it come out as good? Or?
Like I said, I was doing all kinds of shit, man. Everything but going back to the
fibers
kitchen.
aren't as close together.
Oh yeah, and then that's like the crappy one. Because look, this was supposed to be this. Like because I scanned that right.
Anyways, all right, hold on. Let me see what other. So again, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen any of these before, but you know, you guys should check them out. And then this is like my first attempt at like, let's make a video. My balance ain't no good, man. I'm standing on some stuff I shouldn't be standing on. Look at that. So again, it's 8 years ago. It's in March. Look at that. March 18th, 2016. You can put a timestamp on that shit. Good morning. So this is like my first video, real video. And look, I you know. Hopefully we got an amazing blog today. The first ever blog from Jose Arteaga. Oh, hey. Well, I'm gonna make some coffee now. And then as soon as I make that coffee, I'm gonna get dressed. We're gonna head out to the Pike Marketplace today. I wanna do some cooking. And I know there's a store called the Spanish Table that has a lot of ingredients that I really enjoy that come from Spain, from Miami, from certain parts of the world, and they're just not available here in Seattle. So I'm excited to go there and visit the folks there at the Spanish Table and hopefully pick up some goodies and start cooking today. First, let's get some coffee going. It's very important. But anyways, the best. All right, so just so you can get an idea. So just going back to the map. So all that was taking place right there at that building, okay? Right across the street from, you know, the fountain, the Space Needle, the whole thing was right there. And then, yeah, you know, I basically lived there until, you know, my whole career was over when it came to like the whole, you know, consulting. And then I left Seattle. Eventually I left Seattle in, I think 2017 or was it 2018? I think it was 2017. It was like February of 2017, give or take. So, and then look, this is the Metropolitan, you know, market. Okay, right there. That was, you know, that market you saw me that I was buying stuff at. So you see that's the building I lived in. You know, that was I used to come out through back there, you know, and then just walk, you know, across the street to that market. Okay. And then also, you know, when I was doing my exercise and I was doing the running and all that shit, you know, the reason I was able to get in really good shape was because I used to have to go up this hill here. So I lived in Lower Queen Anne, and we used to, and was it Lower Queen Anne? And I think it's the next street over. Yeah, next street over. Anyways, Lower Queen Anne. Yeah, that Chase Bank. I don't want to get into all that. Fuck them. Anyways, so Lower Queen Anne is this, you know, this neighborhood here. And then, you know, I used to go up this hill to Upper Queen Anne. So check this out. So I used to run, you know, Goggins style. A little park right there. So, you know, just run up there. See? Look at that. Again, super steep hill. You see? Look at that. Crazy, right? So all the way up. All the way up. Not that. Look how high. Not that. So it was my exercise, you know, going all the way up this fucking hill. That's some real exercise right there. Yeah, like elevations, man, steep elevations are great. So look at that, it just keeps going and going and going. So I used to run up all this shit. Again, yes, voluntarily. You know, and then this up here is Upper Queen Anne, okay? And then you see, look at the steep drop off. Oh, you can't really see it there, but it was like a super steep drop off. And then that's it, you know, up here. See? Cool stuff. And then, yeah, man, this is like Upper Queen Anne up here. And so this is like one of the like high-end posh neighborhoods. You know, Upper Queen Anne. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that was my time in Seattle. So, see, look, there you see Upper Queen Anne. See, that was right up there, you see? I used to go all the way up, you know, all down this whole street here, Queen Anne Avenue. You know, from there to where I lived, which is right there. So, but anyways, all right, whatever. So, but yeah, you know what I mean? And then I used to walk, you know, if I wanted to go to, you know, so that the park, you know, where you saw that giant head was right there, Olympic Sculpture Park. You know, Pike Marketplace was right there. right here somewhere. Yeah, here, Pike Marketplace. So you walk all the way down there. It's Belltown. You know, Denny Triangle there. So there was like around here. There was like I don't know if it's still there, but I mean maybe not. But there used to be like a car wash with a giant pig on it. That was a very iconic kind of place. I don't know where it was. Denny Park, was it here? Somewhere around here. But yeah. Nah, what am I doing? Or is it? I don't know. I mean, I don't think that place is there anymore. No, that's Whole Foods. It's all the way over here then. But anyways, whatever. So, yeah, man. I mean, all these was my old stomping grounds, man. So many memories. And then, like I said, I mean, I could go on and tell you so much about, you know, Seattle, you know, because again, I used to, you know, Magnolia's a beautiful fucking spot, you know, Fremont right there, you know, over here, Ballard, you know, it was fucking nice too. I used to go to this Fred Meyer's, you know, the park over here, the whole thing, Woodland Park, beautiful area, 99 right there. There was a weed store around here. They used to, you know, do my thing at Gasworks Park. You know, very nice. Check it out. Look at that. I flew my drone around there many times. And, you know, there's Lake Union, South Lake Union, you know, all this around here. I think around here is like Amazon now and all this other shit. And, yeah, just so much, man. Yeah, man. You know, memories. Da, 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 da. And then I remember going to a football game here. I remember watching the Dolphins, you know, get their ass kicked by the Seahawks here. Right there. I forgot what it was called when I went there. But yeah, man. It's changed so much. A lot of it has changed a lot. You know, Seattle has really changed a lot. It's been, again, 8 years, give or take. There's Chinatown there. I remember going here. There's a good spot. Again, I got videos, you know, where I went there. The Asian, you know, food mart. Giant Asian market. Really cool. There's a big Asian community that lives in Seattle. And this is like Chinatown. See all this area right here. And this is the highways, you know, like I-5. Anyways, but yeah, look at that. Seattle. Anyways, I think, yeah, I'm running on fumes here. But yeah, and from time to time, we used to go all the way up to Vancouver. So, you know, again, Vancouver's right there. It's not really that long of a drive. I think it was like an hour. So let's say it's from here to... like 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hour drive to get to Vancouver. But yeah, man, many memories. But I think that's it, guys. You know, I think we're gonna, you know, I think I'm running on fumes here. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, I mean, you know, this is Seattle, man. And then, like I said, and then eventually, like, you know, my business dried up and I had to leave and I left. And then eventually I made my way down to LA. And I lived in LA. But I mean, I got so many memories of, you know, like I said, when I lived there, you know, in Seattle, I used to go to Portland. We used to go to Vancouver. Been to Spokane. We used to call it Spokehampton. And yeah, man, a lot of memories. Yeah, but I've driven through all this. I mean, I've driven through Nevada. So I've driven from Vegas, right? And I've driven all the way up through here. Look, through this. In the middle of fucking the desert, man. All this right here. Let's see if we can... Yeah, man. I always took like the worst paths. I've been to Boise. So yeah. Go through here. It's like nothing, man. Just desert. I don't know. Area 51 is somewhere around here. But yeah. Crazy shit. Oh man, but yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, Seattle was great. You know, like hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. We talked, and like, you know, I used to, you know, have, you know, girlfriends that lived in Bellevue. Bellevue's nice, like very rich, a lot of people there. Mercer Island, you know, the hood is down here. We already talked about that. You know, Kirkland, you're starting to get a little hood. You know, Bothell, Kenmore. You know, over here's Northgate Mall. This fucking ghetto ass mall. I used to date this girl from Moldova, and she lived somewhere around here. Forgot where. Yeah. Or maybe it was a little further out here. I don't know. It was like a Domino's pizza, but whatever. Anyways, long story short, but yeah, around here. Oh man. Then this area here, Woodland Park, and then this park here, East Green Lake, the Green Lake. This was awesome, you know, beautiful area here too. Used to hang out here too all the time. But yeah. Well, anyways, all right. You know, I think like I said, you know, I don't know what else to say. Like, so yeah, you know, eventually once my business dried up, I left, and then after I left, it was like I'm pretty sure it was like February of 2017. And then eventually, once I left, I made my way to Vegas. Okay? Because that's why I brought up Vegas. So I lived in Vegas, believe it or not. But I didn't live in Vegas. I didn't live in Vegas proper. No. Again, I always keep it exciting. I lived here by the Hoover Dam. I lived over here, Lake Mead. All right? This is where I lived. In fact, I lived somewhere over there. I lived on a boat. And we'll talk about that in a future episode. But I literally lived on a boat in Vegas. I lived in a boat in the middle of the desert. Not too far off from the Hoover Dam. Over here, Lake Mead. And, you know, what was the entrance to the park? Okay, that was the hotel. Or is it maybe the entrance? Oh, yeah, the entrance right there. There you go. So I used to come in through here. And we'll talk about this later. But I lived out here. So I basically lived over here somewhere. Yeah, boom. This is where I lived. So we'll talk about that in a future episode. The time I lived in a boat in the middle of the desert. Okay? Boom. All right? Like, man, I'm telling you, man, I have stories for days. Stories for... In fact, I think I lived here. Yeah, there it is. I lived on one of those boats. All right. So we'll talk about that in a future episode. But yeah, that's it. So once I left Seattle, I ended up here. Okay. And then from here, I went to LA. And then from LA, I came to Mexico. So, you know, again, we still have a lot to cover, a lot to talk about, a lot to whatever. But yeah, look how close I was to the Hoover Dam. That was also pretty cool. So... living right there by the Hoover Dam. And then, yeah, man. And then my Texas situation was over here somewhere. Right here. Childress, Texas. Like way down the line. Like a middle of fucking nowhere. Look at that. Literally in the middle of nowhere. So yeah. Oh man, so many memories, man. So much to talk about. So okay, man, I think that's it. I think we've already talked about the time I moved to Seattle, lived in Seattle, and my adventures up in Seattle, and what I was doing up there in Seattle, and all that shit. And then that's it. You know what I mean? You know, I left Seattle, like I said, you know, and eventually I ended up out here in Vegas, and then from Vegas, you know, got my situation in Texas, and then from the situation in Texas, you know, I moved to LA, and I lived in LA. And LA was fucking awesome. And then where I live in LA, I lived all the way up here in Tarzana, Reseda. I lived up here. I lived right there. And, yeah, man. All that. So, yeah, good stuff, man. But anyways. All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. You know, where we're just fucking out here, you know, going down memory lane, talking about my life in Seattle, and starting to be, you know, the beginning of the process of telling you about the rest of my adventures. But you know, I had to start somewhere, and where did it start? Well, like I said, once I left Miami. By the way, I got tons of stories about Miami. We'll get to those as well. Remember, we already talked about a few. But anyways, once I left Miami, I went to Seattle, spent 5 years there, and then from there came to Vegas, and then from Vegas to, you know, to whatchamacallit, to LA, and then from LA to Mérida, Yucatan, which is where I currently am right now. We're here. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed talking about, you know, everything that we talked about today. And yeah, I don't know what else to say except, you know, if you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. And, you know, don't forget, remember, I'm here every single Thursday. You know, we got different stories and different adventures every Thursday. I usually just do 1 hour, but I guess, you know, man, I can't believe I did 2 hours today. No wonder I'm exhausted. Did 2 hours today. And then, yeah, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm trying to keep it to 1 hour, but it's just I had a lot to say, and I should have ended this sooner. But, you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show and enjoyed, you know, knowing more about Jose's history and how I ended up here, and, you know, how my life was out here and all that shit. So, yeah, man. And by the way, I never really went to the west side here. I only stayed in Seattle. I stayed in this side, Tacoma. I mean, even Tacoma was too far. I just basically stayed in the Seattle area here. You know, this area here. So, yeah, man. So, anyways, all right, guys. You know, thanks again for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And I'll see you guys here next Thursday. And I'll see you guys on the other channel. And, again, just don't forget to check out my website. You know, for more, you know, hilarity, more fun, more everything, more, you know. Just go check it out. All right, that's it, guys. I'm ready. I should have ended this an hour ago. My apologies. All right, I'll leave it here with this. And, you know, we'll end the show with a little bit of me on, you know, episode 1. By the way, I think I need a little bit more coffee. I'm running on fumes here.
This is not the proper way to make Cuban coffee. It's just, I'm in a fucking hurry. I need to get my coffee in my body. We will make Cuban coffee. Proper Cuban coffee. Not this. It's just espresso with sugar, made very quickly. Oh, this is my favorite part. Hopefully it'll still do it. Yeah. We got ourselves some coffee.
I need coffee.
So yeah, this is kind of like my typical morning, kind of, sort of. I don't have any typical anything, but get to clear my mind, get to think about what I'm going to do today, what I'm going to cook. Here's to you guys. I think it's spring in about a week or so. Hopefully we start getting some leaves soon. Gotta get the money to pay the fare to get on the thingamajiggy before it leaves. One way. $2.25. I got a bunch of quarters here. So.
Okay, I'll take them.
There's 25 and 2.
There you go.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can get a shot of the train coming in. But I don't know. I'm walking out here, see if I can get the best shot possible. Seems like I can walk out here. I feel like I shouldn't be out here, but the fuck do I know?
Terrible
Here it is.
content. It's funny to see how far I've come. That's for sure.
Downtown Westgate Center, Taipei Market, Lara Station. This one and only stop for the trip. The exit last 2 doors.
Let's take the stairs. My favorite.
So, better let me in. I brought a mess of friends. Extra special on the estrogen. Instead of fell in love, but I left it then. I've never had a lot of drugs just to test it, man. No answer. Stone cold dancing. Anti-low, low, local lantern. Lighting up that local dance floor. Limelight treated oh so casual. I'm passing the road, it's serious. Fofo couldn't get below the clearances. So, folks better go turn up your hearing bits. No, no, stuff to say that really we don't quit. So it ain't gon' stop. One big bubble and it ain't gon' pop. Once I'm seeing double, I'ma take half off. If I say lane trouble, I'ma change that cost.
Good thing, and I just can't stop. Good thing, and I just can't stop. Good thing, and I just can't stop. Good thing, and I just can't stop.
Jumping on the line, about to blow my mind. Get up on my seat, feel my nose bleed, hear my ears ring. I guess that's what you call too much of a good thing. Bottle after bottle, and you're getting shitty.
Save that for 1 second. Move the bowl over here. Again, I'm keeping it real here. You know what I mean? I'm not here, you know, with a little stunt knife or stunt equipment or stunt onion, you know? Look, we got a shitty fucking onion, man. So what are we gonna fucking do? This sucks because I wanted to do some rings, you know? But what are we gonna do? We're gonna clean up beforehand. But I was like, you know
guys,
what?
alright. If you guys want to watch the rest of this, you guys can go check out my
I'm
channel.
human. We're all human, right? We're all
And it's
in this
it's all there. So
together.
you already know the deal, guys. You know, thanks again for watching. Love you guys. See you guys next Thursday, and for another story time. We got more to share. Thanks again.